And on the indigenous side, there was also a lot of requests on indigenous peoples to tell them what to do, as if they had the knowledge, So that was really the initial story, and I tell, like, you could read the papers, the text and interviews, like, at the course there. And so that's the initial thing, and I think you talked about that. And the leadership team. And then there's a moment where you're looking for occupiers. So basically everybody's on board, like we have Verge, we have people, and then we're looking for occupier. Maybe, I don't know, Andre, you were looking for the occupier at the time. It was easy? With the occupiers on board?
Well, I think, I was working with Michelle and the team there. And the occupier that we ended up being 3M, and it was actually timing, good timing. So like, I was working at Pillar had a relationship with 3M. So I was kind of going through Pillar's Rolodex a little bit of who they have as funders. And 3M sponsors the Community Innovation Awards. And then when I called 3M, this woman named Anthea picks up, and Anthea had worked on Caring Canada's conference. So she already had a relationship with Caring Canada. So I was like, okay, great. That's someone that's already an ally, but works in this corporation. And then at the time she was saying to us, because I went to Ivy, and we got a presentation from 3M presidents, right? And so they're talking about all the things that they're doing as an organization to reduce their greenhouse gases as part of a manufacturing company. And I'm talking to Anthea, she's like, you know what, we're trying to think internally right now. We're trying to figure out how we can make our corporate giving side align more with our kind of desire to become more environmentally aware, or be more environmental as our organization. We don't. And this might work in that little intersection we're trying to figure out right now. So like all these factors of like, I felt confident calling 3M because Blair had a relationship. Kieran kind of had already worked with this person that worked in this organization. The timing was right that they were trying to do something different internally. Boom. And then Michelle closed the deal here,
And that's the interview. And basically, also one of the reasons why they were doing the tree planting was reforest. So none of the partner was mentioned. And when I had to tip at the bombs, you explain it. I don't know what's going on is, but I want to be part of it, So it was really interesting at this moment. The update is was the key thing, and we're going to speak about that. But I just want to say that at the time I was also doing interviews with potential partners, potential investors, potential people, because China had a little game, like VBAR, that tried to interview to see, and some people never show up with imagery. There's some people I interviewed that never were part of it. And so it was really interesting because each time I was talking and interviewing people, I was like, they were sharing with them the love for lands. Oh, all the birds, I want to go this, I want to my dog, my family. I was really deeply sharing the love. And at the same time, when I was like, okay, so are you willing to work together? I was like, oh, not too complicated. Too complicated. How can we do that? How can we make that work, So in the interview, I speak about that also in the paper, there was a clear divide between the selves, like the individual self of the people I was interviewing and the professional self. And they didn't realize that somehow they were fighting with each other, And as one interview, it's not in the paper because it was not car, but I was one interview as a real estate blogger. And the real estate developer, big real estate developer here in the region, and I had to real estate developer said, would you consider creating an ecosystem or a corridor and maybe building less and doing it? And then he said, oh, no way, my competitors can get value out of it. And that was the typical thing is like, I was explaining, I was like, I had this moment of like, no, share it. I want to be richer too, build it, be rich, But there was no way in this real estate developer that you could do something that will benefit its competition. Why would it benefit its competition? That it's just like having some value to the land that will have value to the other. It's just the mind of the real estate developer was like collaboration was not something you had. Like if someone has value from this, it means it will have less value. Just giving it. There was not an understanding that could be a bigger value for everybody. So it was really interesting. And so in the paper, you could read the quotes where people were talking about not selling any networking with liberal yogas, like there's some tensions as well with some farmers, and at the same time a desire. So like a lot of contradictory elements here to make understand the CIP, and there's a lot of idea here how to make the CIP work, So that's where we are right now. So we have the habitat partners, and then we have the accumulators, and Andre spoke about the accumulators, and this is one of the key elements of the project, because they were the ones paying for the projects. For this happens, in the case, it was 3M. Maybe you can think about the new accumulators you have right now. Who could they be?
We met one of them yesterday, Dragonfly Ventures.
Yeah.
So, what did she call herself? Well,
older.
Trying to do things differently. And 3M is like, interestingly, because Anthea left the organization, so I was really worried what will happen with 3M, and she just casually said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna extend this," because to them, and this is like, I think it hits a lot of sustainability goals, but they don't realize that, right? They think of tree huggers.
Mm-hmm.
So we made the case, and I guess they probably looked at it internally to see that it hits a lot of their goals.
Yeah. And so the occupators are the ones who are paying for the ecosystem service, the grid infrastructure. And so the question is, what would someone pay for grid infrastructure that benefits everyone? So what would be the rationale? What do you think, Andre, what the rationales of people you're talking to? What do occupators want to be part of the project?
Well, I think that the Dragonfly Ventures, they're very focused on environmentalism.
Yeah.
Like you said, like every organization has a mission that they're trying to drive toward, right? And so 3M, we're just continuing that relationship with them because it's working.
Mm-hmm.
With Dragonfly Ventures, they were necessary for this next phase. Like we needed another outcome pair.
Yeah.
So because Dragonfly, we actually were able to push the project forward. Mm-hmm. If we didn't have another organization in that spot, we wouldn't have been able to move the project forward. So they came into the spot because they had that environmental focus. They're connected to the impact investing community, and then Michelle and Sarah were able to do what we did yesterday, took them for a tour, right, and help them connect with the land, help them connect with the community that they could potentially be in a relationship with. And so that, I think, was how that relationship was formed and why they were able to say yes to this project.
Okay. And what about the government, public funding? Where does it stand here, the model?
Oh, I know Michelle's done a lot of good work, like building relationship with the Environmental Climate Change Canada. And in both situations, it was never, I guess, said in these diagrams that it's always the government that put money in first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When this TransDB was there, it was money from the Ministry of Natural Resources that was funding the development of the bond, they don't claim them as an outcome pair. They're like kind of like, the traditional funder, but they're providing money that we're trying to layer on with these other sources. Similarly, in the long-point conservation impact bond, Michelle was able to get, prior to the long point, them giving us funding to develop it, Michelle had negotiated a contract with them to do like a feasibility study, right? And so that's what I was working with Michelle. We were just like doing research and, just trying to tell a story of this is possible, And then Michelle's done a great job, like, convincing them, okay, we did the research, okay, let's keep going. And so that because of the ECCC, the Environmental Climate Change Canada, and their focus on Long Point, that money was kind of the foundational funding that allowed us to then do the work of building all these relationships and layering on top of that. So
interesting. Maybe we should put some funding. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, please.
I'm wondering, and I'm not sure who I could direct this question to, but in starting a relationship with an organization like 3M, I'm wondering if there's any opportunities or maybe relationships that might lead outside of 3M that might lead into further, partners in that area, bringing them in through, networking, or just how much of that is something that might be a potential or of an interest, or just leading on to something else.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about that for sure. And I think that's the way we're going to scale this. And I don't know, Andre might add to it, but just before First, I'd like to say that the outcome pairs, we've been told, and I don't know if this is true, that this is the first